page 17.1, chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. The Constitution of India, though adopted in November 1949 and enacted in January 1950, was not absolutely new. It was influenced externally by numerous political systems of the world and internally by the numerous acts passed by the British government, especially the Government of India Act 1935. In order to understand the Constitution of India, it would be appropriate to have a glance on the constitutional developments during the British colonial rule in India and the liberation struggle launched by our people. 1. Constitutional development. The English East India Company was founded in London in 1600, whose one shareholder was Queen Elizabeth I, to have trade with India. Within a span of about 150 years, the company became a territorial power in 1765 after acquiring Diwani within inverted commas. The company's commercial activities came under cloud and the British government sought to regulate its affairs and assert its sovereignty over the company's expanding territories until the British government finally took over the reign of India in 1858. The provisions of the Regulating Act within bracket 1773 bracket closed were 1. It made the Bengal Presidency as the central government consisting of a Governor General and Council consisting of 4 members. Within bracket Warren Hastings became the Governor General bracket closed, which exercised authority jointly. 2. The governments of the presidencies of Bombay and Madras were subordinated to the government in Calcutta. 3. It empowered the British Crown to establish a Supreme Court in Bengal with jurisdiction over Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. The Act subjected the legislative authority of the Governor General and Council to certain limitations. 4. The rules and regulations made by them were not to be repugnant to the laws of England. 5. These required registration by the Supreme Court, which was given the power to veto them. 6. There could be an appeal against them to the British government. 7. The Governor General and the Council were under duty to forward all such rules and regulations to England, and the King in Council was competent to disapprove them at any time within 2 years. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.2. The Pitt's India Bill of 1784 established a board of control whose members were to be appointed by the King. It was to be superintendent, direct and control all the transactions and operations of civil, military and revenue matters. It was to receive the copies of all transactions sent to or received from the Indian authorities with the board's authority to approve or disapprove the orders or directions sent by the Court of Directors. The Governor General's Council was to consist of 3 members. One of them was to be Commander-in-Chief within bracket created in 1793 and who became extraordinary member bracket closed. Company's territories were to be called the British possessions in India. In the presidencies, the Governor's Council was to consist of 3 members. The Charter Act of 1793 extended the company's charter for another 20 years. The Charter Act of 1813, though extended the company's charter for 20 years, yet trade with India was made open to all the subjects except in tea and with China. The Charter Act of 1833 deprived the company of all the commercial privileges and was asked to wind up its business. The company was to administer the British territories in trust of the British Crown. The trade was open to all the Europeans. The Governor General of Bengal was to be the Governor General of India. The Governor General in Council was to consist of 4 members. The 4th member was to be the law member. The Governor General in Council was to make laws for the whole British territories. The Indian Law Commission was appointed. The Charter Act of 1853 was to rule the British territories until the Parliament provided otherwise. The strength of the Court of Directors was reduced to 18 from 24. The Indian civil service system was made competitive. The Governor General's Council consisted of 12 members, Governor General, 1 Commander-in-Chief, 4 Council members and 6 additional members, 1 Chief Justice, 1 Supreme Court Judge, 1 Supreme Court Judge and 4 from the presidencies of Bengal, Bombay, Madras and Agra. Table 17.1, India's Governor General 1774 to 1854. In a table, in the horizontal column, the headings are name, began, ended. Under name, Warren Hastings, began 20th October 1774. Under ended, 1st February 1785. Under name, Sir John Macpherson, within bracket provisional. Under began, 1st February 1785. Ended, under ended, 12 September 1786. The Earl Cornwallis from 1792. The Marquess Cornwallis, bracket closed. Under began 12 September 1786. Under ended 28th October 1793. Under name Sir John Shore. Under began 28th October 1793. Under ended March 1798. Under name Sir Eliot Clark, within bracket provisional. Under began March 1798. Ended, under ended 18th May 1798. The Earl of Mornington, within bracket from 1799. The Marquess Wellesley, bracket closed. Under began 18th May 1798. Under ended 30th July 1805. Under name the Marquess Cornwallis. Under began 30th July 1805. Under ended 5th October 1805. Sir George Hilario Barlow, within bracket provisional. Under began 10th October 1805. Under ended 31st July 1807. Under name the Lord Minto. Under began 31st July 1807. Under ended 4th October 1813. Under ended 4th October 1830. The Earl of Moira from 1817. The Marquess of Hastings. Under began 4th October 1813. Under ended 9th January 1823. John Adam, within bracket provisional. Under began 9th January 1823. Under ended 1st August 1823. The Lord Amherst, within bracket form 1826. The Earl Amherst, bracket closed. Under began 1st August 1823. Under ended 13th March 1828. Under name William Butterworth Bailey, within bracket provisional. Under began 13th March 1828. Under ended 4th July 1828. Under name Lord William Bentinck. Under began 4th July 1828. Under ended 20th March 1835. Sir Charles Metcalfe, within bracket provisional. Under began 20th March 1835. Under ended 4th March 1836. Under name the Lord Auckland, within bracket from 1839. The Earl of Auckland. Under began 4th March 1836. Under ended 28th February 1842. The Lord Ellenborough, under began 28th February 1842. Under ended June 1844. William Wilberforce Bard, within bracket provision. Under began June 1844. Under ended 23rd July 1844. Sir Henry Hardinge, within bracket from 1846, the Viscount Hardinge. Under in began 23rd July 1844. Under in date 12th January 1848. The Earl of Dalhousie, within bracket from 1849, the Marquess of Dalhousie, bracket closed, under began 12th January 1848, under in date 28th February 1856. The Viscount Canning, under began 28th October 1856, under in date 1st November 1858. Following the First War of Independence in 1857, called by the British as Sepoy Mutiny or the Revolt of 1857, the Company's rule came to an end in India and brought the British India under the direct control of the British Crown. The provisions of the Government of India Act 1858 were: 1. It abolished the Board of Directors and the Board of Control and vested their powers in one of Her Majesty's Secretary, within bracket a minister in the British Cabinet. 2. The Secretary was designated as the Secretary of the State for India and was empowered to superintend, direct and control all the governmental affairs in India. 3. The Secretary of State for India was to be assisted by a Council of India. 4. The Governor General and Governors of the Presidencies were to be appointed by the Crown and the members of the councils by the Secretary of State in Council. From there on, there were 3 Councils Acts of 1861, 1892 and 1909 before the Government of India Act 1919 was passed. The main provisions of Indian Councils Act of 1861 were: 1. The Governor General's Council was expanded for legislative purposes by adding 6 to 12 new members to be nominated for 2 years. 2. Prior sanction of the Governor General was essential for introducing some legislative measures. 3. Every act passed by the legislature in India was subject to approval by Her Majesty, acting through the Secretary of State in Council. 4. The Governor General was authorized to exercise a veto and issue ordinances in an emergency. 5. The strength of the Governor General's Council for executive purposes was raised to 5 by addition of 1 more member. The provisions of the Indian Councils Act of 1892 were: 1. The strength of the central and provincial legislative councils were expanded by adding 8 to 20 new members. 2. 2/4 of these new additional members were to be non-officials. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.3. 3. The Governor General in Council was authorized to make rules subject to the sanction of the Secretary of State in Council for discussion of annual financial statements and for asking questions. The Indian Councils Act of 1999, also called the Morally Minto Reforms, responding to the Muslim deputation headed by Sir Aga Khan, within bracket 1906 bracket close, introduced the separate electorate for the Muslims. The main features of the Indian Councils Act within bracket 1909 were: 1. The strength of the additional members was increased from 16 to 60. The total strength, including the Governor General and his council members, was 69. That is 9 plus 60 additional members. Out of the 60 additional members, 28 were to be officials nominated by the Governor General. Out of 32 non-officials, 5 were to be nominated and 27 were to be elected. 13 from general constituencies, 12 from class constituencies, within bracket 6 landlords and 6 Muslims, and 2 from special constituencies, within bracket 1 each from Bengal, Bombay and Bombay Chambers of Commerce. Bracket closed. 2. The strength of the provincial councils was also increased. Bengal 52, Madras 47, Bombay 47, United Province 47, East Bengal and Assam 41, Punjab 25, Burma 16. These members were also to be officials and non-officials. Non-officials had to be nominated non-officials and elected non-officials. Elected non-officials had to be formed from general class and special constituencies. 3. powers of the Legislative Council were enhanced, discussing bills, asking questions, moving bills, but without any voting right. The executive heads had the veto powers. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.4, page 17.4. Following the Montesquieu's Declaration of August 1917, the Government of India Act 1919 was passed. It is also known as the Montfort Reforms as well. The main provisions of the Act of 1999 were 1. The Council of the Secretary of State was to comprise of 8 to 12 members. 3 of them were to be Indians, and at least half of them were to have spent at least 10 years in India. 2. The Secretary of the State was supposed to follow the advice of his council. 3. Part of the expenses of the office of the Secretary of State was to be made by the British government. 4. The Secretary of State was not allowed to interfere in administrative matters of the provinces concerning the, within inverted comma, transferred subjects, inverted comma closed, and also in matters of which Governor General and his legislature were in agreement. 5. The Governor General had the power to nominate as many members to his Executive Council as he wanted. 6. Members appointed to the Executive Council were to have served in India for at least 10 years. 7. The legislature was to consist of 2 houses, that is the Council of the States within bracket upper house bracket closed, and Legislative Assembly within bracket lower house. 8. The Council of the State was to consist of 60 members, out of which 1 was to be the President, 34 elected and 25 nominated. 9. The Legislative Assembly was to consist of 145 members, out of which 105 were to be elected and 40 to be nominated by the Governor General. 10. The franchise was limited. 11. The tenure of the upper house was 5 and the lower house was 3 years. 12. Both the houses had equal legislative powers. In case of a tie, the Governor General was to call a joint meeting where the matter was to be decided by majority vote. 13. The Executive Council was not responsible to the legislature, and the Governor General had the right to reject its advice. 14. Provincial legislatures were supposed to be unicameral. 15. 70% members of the provincial legislative councils were to be elected and 30% were to be nominated. 16. The governors were given within inverted comma instrument of instructions inverted comma close, which guided them in carrying out their administrative affairs. 17. The system of diarchy was introduced in the provinces. 18. Besides Muslims, other minorities including Sikhs, Anglo-Indians, Christians and Europeans were also given separate representation. 19. New reforms were to be examined after 10 years. Quote, the Legislative Council within bracket of 1861 bracket closed was neither representative nor deliberative. Basu. The Indian Councils Act 1909. Roberts within inverted comma a halfway house bracket closed. Mujumdar within inverted comma mere moonshine. Zacharias within inverted comma the shadow rather than substance. Montesquieu's August within inverted comma within bracket 1970 bracket closed declaration. Within inverted comma the policy of His Majesty's government, with which the Government of India are in complete accord, is that of the increasing association of Indians in every branch of administration, with a view to the progressive realization of responsible government in India as an integral part of British Empire. I would add that progress in this policy can only be achieved by the successive stages. The British government and the Government of India, or on whom the responsibility lies for the welfare and the advancement of the Indian people, must be the judges of the time, and measure of each advance, and they must be guided by the cooperation received from those upon whom new opportunities of service will thus be conferred, and by the extent to which it is found that confidence could be reposed in their sense of responsibility. Inverted comma close. Diarchy's failure. Within inverted comma. I was a minister for development without forest. I was a minister for agriculture minus irrigation. Famine relief, of course, could not be touched by the Minister of Agriculture. Inverted comma close. K.V. Reddy. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.5. Page 17.5. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Following the recommendations of the Simon Commission, within bracket 1928, the three round table conferences, within bracket 1930, 1931 and 1932, bracket closed, as also of the pressure of the national movement, the Government of India Act 1935 was passed. The main features of the Act of 1935 were: 1. A Federation of India was promised for compromising both of provinces and states. The provisions of the Act establishing the federal central government were not to go into operation until a specified number of rulers of states had signed instruments of accession. Since this did not happen, the central government continued to function in accordance with the 1919 Act, and only the part of the 1935 Act dealing with the provincial governments went into operation. 2. The Governor General remained the head of the central administration and enjoyed wide powers concerning administration, legislation and finance. 3. No finance bill could be placed in the central legislature without the consent of the Governor General. 4. The federal legislature was to consist of two houses, the Houses of States within bracket upper house and the Federal Assembly within bracket lower house. 5. The Council of States was to consist of 250 members, out of which 156 were to be elected from the British India and 104 to be nominated by the rulers of princely state. 5. The Federal Assembly was to consist of 375 members, out of which 250 were to be elected by legislative assemblies of the British Indian provinces, while 125 were to be nominated by the rulers of princely state. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. The main features of Act of 1935 continued, page 17.6. 7. The central legislature had the right to pass any bill, but the bill required the approval of the Governor General before it became law. On the other hand, the Governor General had the power to issue ordinances. 8. The Indian Council was abolished. In its place, few advisers were nominated to help the Secretary of State for India. 9. The Secretary of State was not expected to interfere in matters which the governors dealt with the help of Indian ministers. 10. The provinces were given autonomy with respect to subjects delegated to them. 11. Diarchy, which had been established by in the provinces by the Act of 1919, was to be established at the centre However, it came to an end in the provinces. 12. Two new provinces, Sindh and Orissa, were created. 13. Reforms were introduced in NWFP as were in the other provinces. 14. Separate electorates continued as before. 15. One-third Muslim representation in the general legislature was guaranteed. 16. Autonomous provincial governments in 11 provinces under ministers responsible to legislatures were set up. 17. Burma and Aden were separated from India. 18. The federal court was established at the center. 19. The Reserve Bank of India was established. 20. The three lists were dash. The central list 59 subjects, the provincial list 54 subjects, and the concurrent list 36 subjects. The residuary powers rested with the Governor General. The Act of 1935 was criticized by both the Congress and the Muslim League. Yet when it was enacted in 1937, both the political parties participated in the elections. Following the declaration of India being a belligerent country, emergency was imposed in 1939. It was after a great deal of discussions. The British government declared India to be independent, but with partition of the country into two dominions, India and Pakistan. The main features of the Indian Independence Act 1947, also called the Mountbatten or Dickey Bird palm, where A. The Act provided for the creation of two independent dominions, India and Pakistan. B. It provided for the partition of Punjab and Bengal and separate boundary commissions to demarcate the boundaries between them. C. Besides West Punjab and East Bengal, Pakistan was to comprise territories of Sindh, northwestern frontier province, Shelhat division of Assam, Bhawanipur, Khairpur, Balochistan, and 8 other relatively minor princely states in Balochistan. D. The paramount authority of British Crown over the princely states was to lapse, and they were free to join the dominion of India or Pakistan or remain independent. E. Both the dominions of India and Pakistan were to have governors general appointed by the British King. The Act also provided for one common governor council if both the dominions so agreed. F. The constituent assemblies of both the dominions were free to frame the constitutions for their respective countries without any limitation whatsoever. They were also free to withdraw from the British Commonwealth. G. For the time being, till the new constitutions were framed, each of the dominions and all the provinces were to be governed in accordance with the Government of India Act 1935, with such modifications, omissions or additions as may be done by the Governor General in Council. The Constituent Assembly, as constituted under the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946 and later bifurcated after the partition into two, were to frame their respective constitutions for India and Pakistan. Page 17.7. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. The Indian Constituent Assembly framed its constitution, adopted it in November 1949 and enacted on January 26, 1950. Table 17.2, India's Governors General and Viceroys, 1858 to 1947. In the chart In the horizontal column, the headings are name, began, ended. Under name, the Viscount Canning from 1859, the Earl Canning. Under began 1st November 1858, ended 21st March 1862. Under name, the Earl of Elgin. Under began 21st March 1862. Under ended 20th November 1863. Under name, Sir Robert Napier, within bracket provisional. Under began 21st November 1863. Under ended 2nd December 1863. Under name, Sir William Denison, within bracket provisional. Under began 2nd December 1863. Under ended 12th January 1864. Under name, Sir John Lawrence. Under began 12th January 1864. Under ended 12th January 1869. Under name, the Earl of Mayo. Under began 12th January 1869. Under ended 8th February 1872. Under name, Sir John Strachey, within bracket provisional. Under began 9th February 1872. Under ended 23rd February 1872. Under name, the Lord Napier, wrong, I repeat, the Lord Napier, within bracket provisional. Under began 24th February 1872. Under ended 3rd May 1872. Under name, the Lord Northbrook. Under began 3rd May 1872. Under ended 12th April 1876. The Lord Little. Under end began 12th April 1876. Under ended 8th January 1880. Under name, the Marquess of Ripon. Under began 8th January 1880. Under ended 13th December 1884. Under name, the Earl of Dufferin. Under began 13th December 1884. Under ended 10th December 1888. Under name, the Marquess of Lansdowne. Under began 10th December 1888. Under ended 11th October 1894. Under name, the Earl of Elgin. Under began 11th October 1994. Ended 6th January 1899. The Lord Curzon of Kedleston. Under began 6th January 1899. Under ended 18th November 1905. Under name, the Earl of Minto. Under began 18th November 1905. Under ended 23rd November 1910. The Lord Hardinge of Penshurst. Under began 23rd November 1910 to ended 4th April 1916. The Lord Chelmsford. Under began 4th April 1916. Ended 2nd April 1921. Under name, the Earl of Reading. Under began 2nd April 1921. Under ended 3rd April 1926. Under name, the Lord of Irene. Under began 3rd April 1926. Under ended 18th April 1931. The Earl of Wellington. Under began 18th April 1931. Under ended 18th April 1936. The Marquess of Linlithgow. Under began 18th April 1936. Under ended 1st October 1943. The Viscount Wavell. Under began 1st October 1843. Under name, the Viscount Wavell, Wavell. Under began 1st October 1943. Under ended 21st February 1947. The Viscount Mountbatten of Burma. under began 21st February 1947, under ended 15th August 1947. Page 17.82, Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, National Movement. The 1857 struggle for freedom was dubbed as a revolt and was therefore suppressed. The British Crown took over the administration of the erstwhile possessions of the English East India Company in 1858. It was then two India, one called the British India and the another the Peninsular India, a vast group of over 550 states at the time of India's partition in 1947. While there grew up social and political consciousness in the British India, the vast majority of people in the princely states remained slaves. The British began their reactionary and exploitative rule in India, taking full advantages of the socially segregated people and making the native princes their tools. Economic exploitation of the British government continued and was even worse and more subtle than it was during the company's rule in India. India was entrenched deep in backwardness, social, economic, religious, cultural and political. Only Renaissance could save India. Social and religious Renaissance made a ground for political awakening in India. Raja Ram Mohan Rai, within bracket 1772 to 1833, bracket closed, rightly regarded as the prophet of Indian Renaissance, was indeed the father of modern India. His two greatest contributions were one, within bracket 1, the foundation of the Brahmo Samaj, within bracket 1828, and modern India. His two greatest contributions were one, social and religious Renaissance made a ground for political awakening in India. Raja Ram Mohan Rai, within bracket 1772 to 1833, rightly regarded as the prophet of India Renaissance, was indeed the father of modern India. His two greatest contributions were one, the foundation of the Brahman Samaj, within bracket 1828, and two, seeking the abolition of Sati, within bracket 1829, bracket closed. Following the Brahmo Samaj, there began socio-religious reform movements in the country. The Prarthana Samaj, within bracket 1857, M.G. Ranade, bracket closed, and the Ved Samaj, within bracket 1865, Madras, bracket closed. The Arjo Samaj, within bracket 1875, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, bracket closed, comma, the Ramakrishna Mission, within bracket 1896 to 97, Swami Vivekananda, bracket closed. The Theosophical Society, within bracket 1875, Blavatsky Alcott, within bracket closed, together with other social organizations such as Satya Sadhak Samaj, Sri Narayan Dharma Paripalana Sabha, the Ahmadiyya and Aligarh movements, and the Singh Sabhas sought to create an India without social and religious evils, making thus the beginning of the Indian nationalism possible. Though these social religious movements were regional in scope, their general perspectives were remarkably similar, which to a great extent gave way a common consciousness. Numerous historical researchers by scholars such as Princess Botheling and the archaeologists like Alexander Cunningham and Marshall, and men with literacy interests like Sir William Jones, Max Muller, Jacobi, Colebrook, wrath and Keith gave to the Indians a history of country which was glorious enough to be proud of, as it brought to the light an India which was once culturally, socially and economically developed. These historical findings developed among the Indians a new sense of pride in their ancient civilization. The spread of Western education and through it the Western civilization and culture made the Indians well aware of political thinking emerging in the world, especially Europe. The catchy terms such as liberty, equality, fraternity, nationalism, revolution went straight into the Indian heads. The British imperialism through exploitation and colonialism first, and the brutal oppressive rule of the Indians latter was no less an important factor, helping in the generation of nationalism in India. The press with the dailies like the Amritabajar Patrika and the Indian Mirror, the Hindu, the Kesari, the Bengali and the like contributed a lot to the growth of the Indian nationalism. The English language, the means of transport and communication and the English rule did bring the Indians closer. Thus was born a modern India, largely during the closing years of the 19th century. Before the birth of the Indian National Congress, there had emerged numerous provincial organizations in the country. Mention may be made about the British Indian Society within bracket Bengal, Thompson, 1843, bracket closed, the British Indian Association, Bengal, 1851, Horace Chandra Mukherjee, Devendranath Tagore, Rajendra Moitra, bracket closed, the Bombay Presidency Association within bracket Firoz Shah Mehta, Jagannath Bodiruddin Tiabji, 1852, bracket closed. The East India Association within bracket Bombay, Dadabhai Naroji, 1866. The Sarvajanik Sabha within bracket Bombay, 1870. Namely, 1870, M.G. Ranade, bracket closed. The Indian Association within bracket Bengal, 1876, S.N. Banerjee, bracket closed. The Mahajan Sabha within bracket 1884, bracket closed. Chapter Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.9. Two national movement continued. The Indian National Union was made in India. The Indian National Union was made the Indian National Congress at the suggestion of Dadabhai Naroji. It was founded in 1885 by an English, last India's Company's retired officers, A.O. Hume. The first session of the Indian National Congress began in Bombay on December 28, 1885 with W.C. Banerjee in the chair. 72 delegates from different parts of the country attended the first session. Banerjee, the first president, stated 4 objects of the Indian National Congress: promotion of personal intimacy and friendship among the workers in the country's course. 2. Eradication of all possible race, creed or provincial prejudices amongst all the lovers of the country and the fuller development of national unity. 3. The authoritative record of the matured opinions of the educational class in India. 4. The determination of the lines upon which the next 12 months would be devoted to labor for the welfare for the public in interest. The British authorities in India welcomed the formation of the Indian National Congress in the initial years, suspected it later, and finally began ridiculing it thereafter. The Indian liberation struggle, spearheaded mainly by the Indian National Congress, witnessed a fairly long period of struggle within 1885 to 1947, passed through reforms within 1885 to 1905, bracket close. The demand for Swaraj within 1906 to 28, bracket closed, and sought independence 1929 to 1947. Largely a peaceful and non-violent movement, imbibed people from the English-educated middle class initially to a vast mass of people led by the Gandhiji, and had in it social, economic and political vision. The three major stages through which the Indian nationalist movement passed were: 1. the moderate period, B. the extremist period, and C. the Gandhian period. The moderate period from 1885 to 1905 was led by Hume, Nauroji, Mehta, Malviya, Ranade, Gokhale and the like. These leaders thought of the English rule in India as a blessing and related India's social and economic development to the just rule of British in the country. Their methods were limited to prayers, limited petitions, and sending deputations to the authorities in India as well as India. I repeat, their methods were limited to prayers, petitions, and sending deputations to the authorities in India as well as in England in order to build a favourable public opinion for India. They made use of the House of Commons through Wedderburn and Nauroji, and joined Nauroji, and out of John Bright, Henry Fawcett, Charles Bradlaugh, a monthly paper began supplying the authoritative and detailed information of the movement in India. Numerous deputations visited England as to redress the grievances, deliver lectures, and appear before official commissions. Though there was not much of achievements which can be attributed to the moderate Congress, yet it did a great deal of spade work in national economy, political education, commercial unity, and consciousness. Page 17.10. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. The 1906 session of the Indian National Congress only postponed the split, while Surat session 1907 within bracket could not. The Surat split led to the division of the organization into moderates and extremists until 1916, when the two wings reunited. Extremism, as led by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Rajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal and Aurobindo Ghosh, was growing slowly, largely due to the imperialistic design of the Britishers. But became more apparent in the early years of the 20th century. The factors which contributed to the rise of extremists in the early part of the 20th century included dissatisfaction with the moderates' achievements, the new socio-economic conditions throwing vast majority of the educated Indians out of the roads, terrible nature calamities within bracket 18 famines in 1896 and a plague in 1897 in bracket closed, with no or negligible relief compelling a negligible relief coming from the government. The humiliation of the Indians abroad, especially in South Africa, within bracket, where the Indians could not buy land, nor could they build homes in certain specified areas meant for the Europeans. No schools for their children, and their fingerprints kept in the police stations. Certain hotels and hospitals did not allow Indians. It is within bracket. The victory of Ethiopia over Italy, within bracket 1896 bracket closed, and German over Russia, within bracket 1905 bracket closed, and the oppressive rule of Lord Curzon, within bracket 1898 to 1905 bracket closed, leading to the Calcutta Corporation Act 1899, Indian Universities Act 1904, and the Partition of Bengal 1905. The Partition of Bengal, which was revoked in 1911, gave birth to the protest movement in 1905, engulfing the whole nation. Together with the anti-partition feelings, there spread Swadeshi and boycott activities. The whole country was ablaze with sentiments full of nationalism. The nationalist movement came to be led by the extremists demanding Swaraj with measures such as passive resistance and national-wide protests. Alongside the extremists, the nation witnessed a spate of revolutionary and terrorist activities launched by the underground organizations such as Onsulin Samiti, within bracket, with Jugantar and the Sondha newspapers, bracket closed, and the Ovidavo Bharat and leaders from various parts of the country. Bengal, within bracket, Aurobindo Ghosh, Bhupendranath Datta and P.P. Mitra. Maharashtra, within bracket, Chepekar brothers, Savarkar brothers, Swamiji Krishnan Bharma, bracket closed. Punjab, within bracket, Ajit Singh, Safi Amba Prasad, Bhai Paramanand, within bracket closed. Tamil Nadu, within bracket, Chidambaram Pillai, bracket closed. The Ghadar party, within bracket, Sohan Singh Bhakna and Lala Hardale, bracket closed, did a remarkable job abroad. Madame Bhikaji Kama's love to the nation was unparalleled during the period. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.11. To national movement continued. The Gandhian era of the nationalist liberation struggle began around 1917 and covered almost 3 decades. During this period, Gandhi remained the undisputed leader of the nationalist movement and a father figure in the Congress. With these techniques of non-violent satyagraha, which he learnt in South Africa, where he spent about 22 years, Gandhi rose from local mass struggles at Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad to the nation, to the nationalist mass movements, including the non-cooperation movement within bracket 1920 to 22 bracket close, the civil disobedience movement within bracket 1930-34 bracket close, all called the salt satyagraha, the individual satyagraha within bracket 1940, and the Quit India movement 1942, from which he withdrew soon after it went violent. Gandhi made the Congress movement as the mass movement, and with every movement Gandhi emerged a large leader. His contribution to the nationalist struggle was Without any parallel, he fought a non-violent battle against the mighty British Empire. He made the people fearless, ready to embrace any sacrifice. He was a political leader and a social reformer whose services touched every heart and on whose voice people were ready to lay down their lives. He helped every Indian after attain Swaraj, every poor his care, every Dalit his identity. Truth was his goal, non-violence his means, humanity his religion. Rabindranath Tagore gave Gandhi and the title of Mahatma and the nation the father, within inverted comma. Gandhi started non-cooperation movement in protest of the infamous Rowlatt Act, March 1919 following the arrest of Dr. Kichlu and Dr. Satyapal and the Jallianwala massacre April 1919, and by the Khilafat movement Muhammad Ali and Sankat Ali, launched as a result of British policy of dismembering Turkish Empire. The non-cooperation movement was a success in so far as it helped boycott the government schools, courts, foreign goods and official functions and the elections. It made people surrender their titles. It laid emphasis on the use of khadi, Hindu-Muslim unity and welfare of the weaker sections of the society. A minor incident at Chaura Gorakhpur Uttar Pradesh forced Gandhi to withdraw the movement. The withdrawal was resented by numerous Congress leaders Vallabhbhai Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose. The Swaraj Party C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru, formed in 1923, fought the elections under the Government of India Act 1919, were won for 45 seats out of 45 seats in Indian Congress Council. The Swarajists wrecked the Act of 1919 from within and forced the British government to bring about the announcement of the commission, that is Simon Commission. 2 years ahead of the stipulated time, the Simon Commission was boycotted all over the country for being an white commission. Page 17.12, Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. 2, that is National Movement, continue. Responding to Birkenhead's challenge, the All-Party Conference in India formed a Nehru Committee to frame a constitution. The committee gave its report, the Nehru Report providing for a dominion status for India, joint electorates, a bicameral legislature, a constitutional parliamentary system and the Bills of Rights. M.A. Jinnah, having accepted the Nehru Report by being a part of it, later rejected it in the League's meeting. His 14 points, mostly providing the separate electorate, did not satisfy the Congress. The 1929 Lahore session of the Congress, presided over by Jawaharlal Nehru, declared the Purno Swaraj as the objective of the Indian National Congress, and its unilateral celebration on January 26, 1930 as Independence Day, Gandhiji's Salt Satyagraha civil disobedience movement was another major movement as successful as to the non-cooperation one. Boycott and Swadeshi measures working side by side, a temporary suspension of the movement and the resultant Gandhi Arvind Pact within bracket 1931 and the three round table conference of 1930, 31 and 1932 and the communal award of early 1932 proved way for the passage of the Government of India Act 1935. The Pune Pact of 1932 sought to neutralize the communal award. The results of the elections held under the Act of 1935 gave majority to Congress in 6 provinces within bracket Madras, Bombay, Central Province, Orissa, Bihar and UP. Bracket close. The Congress-led governments in northwest frontier provinces and Assam only in 3 provinces within bracket Punjab, Sindh and Advance. Within bracket Punjab, Sindh and Bengal. Bracket close. The Muslim League had the power. These ministers worked until September 1939 when the Governor General declared India a belligerent country without consulting the elected leaders. The Congress ministers resigned after having worked well for about a year and a half. With the World War II, the Indian nationalist movement entered into its last stage of liberation struggle. The war situation was effectively utilized. The Congress offered to cooperate with the British government, provided one, independence as the goal of India was declared, and 2, a provisional national government consisting of various Indian political parties was set up at the center. Though the League's Lahore session with Pakistan resolution within bracket 1940 was against India's unity. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. 2, National Movement, page 17.13. The August 1940 offer of the Viceroy Lord Linlithgow did nothing to satisfy the Indians, especially the Congress. The Linlithgow offer promised a full-fledged responsible government after the termination of the war, recognized the Indians' right to frame their constitutions, giving the minorities the assurance that their interests would be taken care of, and the Viceroy's right to have a certain number of Indians to help advise them. The rigid British attitude was responded by the individual Satyagraha of October 1940 with Vinoba Bhave leading the Satyagraha in asking the Indians to stay away from the recruitment centers. By the end of 1940, some 30,000 Satyagrahis got themselves arrested. The situation of Allied powers continued from bad to worse, and this made certain leaders such as Roosevelt within bracket USA and Chiang Kai-shek within bracket China impress upon Churchill the urgency of solving the Indian political deadlocks. So Stafford Cripps was sent to India in March 1942, and his proposals in April contained 2 categories. Post-war proposals. 1. A full dominion status after the war with the right to secede from the Commonwealth. 2. A constitution-making body after the war to be set up for framing the constitution. Its members party elected and partly nominated. 3. The British government would accept the constitution only if the provinces not accepting the new constitution would retain the right to form a separate union. The interim proposals. The British government would retain control of India's defence, to whom the Indians would extend all support. The Cripps proposals were in the form of package, accepting it or reject it all. The Congress rejected the possible proposals outrightly. Gandhi, it is said, described the proposals as a, within inverted comma, a supposed check on a failing bank. The Congress termed the interim arrangement as vague. The Muslim League too described the whole plan as providing inflexible procedure of achieving it. The Hindu Mahasabha and the Akali Dal thought of it as the source of leaks, atrocities in the state of the Punjab. The Scheduled Caste Federation denounced the plan on the ground that the Dalits would be at the mercy of the Hindu majority. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. The Crips, National Movement in India, page 17.14, 2. National Movement. The Crips' proposals did not bring favorable results. The war situation was no better. Gandhi decided to launch the Quit India movement, within bracket, leave India to God, and if that be too much, leave her to anarchy, invert comma close. This, within invert comma, do or die, invert comma close movement. The resolution having already been passed earlier in Wardha was to be launched after ratifying it in a meeting in Bombay on August 8 and 9 night or 1942. The British government took no time in arresting all the members of the Congress Working Committee. Obviously, the movement turned into a revolt without the leaders. Gandhi separated himself from the violent upsurge, while leaders like J.P. Narayan and Ram Mohan Lohia led it secretively. The country was on fire for about 3 years or so. Hundreds of people were killed, thousands were injured, and property worth lakhs was confiscated. The government's repression was at its peak, but people's enthusiasm reached in all-time heights. While the League was happy over the arrests of the congressmen, the communists openly opposed the movement. The cabinet mission plan, within bracket 1946, bracket close, sent to India by the sympathetic Labour government after the failure of CR formula, within bracket 1944, promising Pakistan indirectly, and the Wavell plan together with the Shimla conference within bracket 1945, bracket close, was a welcome step. The cabinet mission consisted of the Secretary of State for India, Sir Patrick Lawrence, and 2 other cabinet ministers. Support Cripps and A.P. Alexander. The mood in India on the eve of the cabinet mission was full of nationalistic feelings as a result of the INA, within bracket Indian National Army, bracket close, trial 1945, within bracket trying the 3 officials, Major General Shah Nawaz, Colonel Dhillon and Major Sehgal, bracket closed, as the naval mutiny, within bracket 1946, demonstrating the Indian unity. The mission's May 1946 proposals included, with 1. long terms, a union of India consisting of the British provinces and the princely states with foreign affairs, defence and communication, and the power to raise finance from these subjects. 2. An executive and a legislature at the centre, a communal issue to be decided in the legislature with a majority of the present representativeness present and voting of each of the 2 major communities, as well as a majority of all the members present and voting. 3. Decisionary powers to be vested in provinces. 4. Provinces free to form their groups, their executives and legislatures, and their common subjects. 5. Each group had to have its own constitution and was free to call for the reconsideration of the terms of the group after a period of 10 years. 2. The proposals regarding the constitution, making body included. 1. A constituent assembly was to consist of 389 members, 296 from the British provinces and elected by the provincial legislatures, 93 from the princely states as to be nominated by the states. 2. 3 sections of representatives from the British provinces were to be Section A consisting of Madras, Bombay, the United Provinces, the Central Provinces, Bihar and Odisha. Section B consisting of Punjab, North, West, Frontier Province, Sindh and Balochistan. Section C consisting of Bengal and Assam. Each section was to settle its own constitution. 3. Each province was free to come out of any group. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.15. 3. Short term. The interim government was to consist of 6 congressmen, 5 leaguers, and 1 Indian Christian, 1 Sikh and 1 Parsi. Though the Indian political parties had their reservations about the cabinet mission plan, the plan was accepted. The elections to the Constituent Assembly went against the Muslim League. Out of the 296 seats from the British provinces, the Congress got 212 seats, the Muslim League 73, and the remaining seats from the British provinces, the Congress got and the remaining seats and the remaining 11 members were expected to follow the Congress. I repeat again from the beginning. 3. Short term. The interim government was to consist of 6 congressmen, 5 leaguers, 1 Indian Christian, 1 Sikh and 1 Parsi. Though the Indian political parties had their reservations about the cabinet mission plan, the plan was accepted. The elections of the Constituent Assembly went against the Muslim League. Out of the 296 seats from the British provinces, the Congress got 212 seats, the Muslim League 73, and the remaining 11 members were expected to follow the Congress. It was time for the Muslim League to act. It rejected the Constituent Assembly, part of the cabinet plan, but accepted the interim government part outside the government. It resorted to what is called direct action, which was moving but communal riots. To save the country from the civil war, the newly appointed Viceroy of India, Lord Mountbatten, proposed, along with independence, the partition of the country into 2 domains, India and Pakistan. The Mountbatten Plan, also called the Dickey-Bird Plan, resulted in the passage of the Indian Independence Act of 1947. The Muslim communalism was a negative aspect of the Indian nationalist movement. The birth of the All Indian Muslim League in December 1906 at Dhaka is accredited to Nawab Salimullah. It was founded with a view to protect the interests of the Muslims in India and strengthen friendship with the British. The friendly relations between the League and the government went well up to 1911, but from then the relations got strained. The League came nearer the Congress, and the 2 political parties had their first and the last pact in 1916 called the Lucknow Pact. M.A. Jinnah was a congressman when he separated himself from it in 1920, though he had already joined the Muslim League in 1913. After 1927, military being with Muslim separate electorate as in his within bracket 4 points, and thereafter after 1927 he virtually took over the League's leadership, and from there on he advocated the cause of Pakistan, initially beginning with Muslim separate electorate as in his 14 points, and thereafter his 2-nation theory and the Pakistan resolution of 1940. Nationalism gave way to communalism to save the country from communal catastrophe, Pakistan was born a day before India was declared independent. Nehru and Bose. Jawaharlal Nehru, 1889 to 1964, was an important leader of the Congress movement and the Prime Minister of independent India between 1947. Nehru and Bose. Jawaharlal Nehru, 1889 to 1964, was an important leader of the Congress movement and the Prime Minister of independent India between 1947 to 1964. Educated in England, Nehru was the son of a brilliant advocate and the Congress leader Motilal Nehru. Even since the non-cooperation movement, Nehru was a part of every Congress activity. Until the independence, Nehru held on to it. Congress, the presidency in 1920, 1936, 1937 and 1946. Nehru met Gandhi in 1916 and came under his spell in 1924. Though Nehru differed with Gandhi on many occasions, he was never separated from his teacher, guide and philosopher Gandhi, who has pronounced him his successor. Nehru held the command of the foreign cell of the Congress, and that is one reason that the non-alignment policy of independent India was his policy to a great extent. Nehru was a socialist by conviction and temperament. He was, though a poor orator, a great and prolific writer. His works included glimpses of world history, the discovery of India and autobiography. Subhash Chandra Bose, within bracket 1897 to 1945, was one of the greatest sons of India. He began as a Vedanta wanderer, joined the nationalist movement in 1921 after having resigned from the Indian civil service. He spent about 8 years of his life in jail, having visited in 10 times. He became the president of the Indian National Congress in 1938 to 1939. In 1939, he founded Forward Bloc. He left the country in 1940 secretly, reached Berlin in March 1941, addressed the nation from Berlin. He also met Hitler and was much impressed by Mussolini. He was convinced that India could get independence only through armed struggle. This made him take the assistance of the Axis powers, especially Japan. He recognized the Indian National Army, within bracket Azad Hind Fauj, established an exile government of independent India in October 1943, captured some areas of Andaman Nicobar and Northeast Frontiers Agency in early 1945. People called him Netaji. He gave the slogans of Jai Hind, Delhi Chalo, Give me blood, I will give you freedom. He is believed to have died in an aircraft crash in August 1945. His writings included An Indian Pilgrim and The Indian Struggle. Page 17.16 Exercises. Chapter 17 Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercise number 1. Which of the following acts provides for the setting up of a board of control in Britain through which the British government could fully control in British East India Company civil, military and revenue affairs in India? A. Regulating Act of 1773. B. Pitt's India Act of 1784. C. Charter Act of 1833. And D. Government of India Act of 1858. The correct answer is B, that is Pitt's India Act of 1784. Exercise 2. The first effective attempt by the nationalists for drafting the constitution of independent India may be traced back to A. The Pune Pact, B. Shapru Report, C. Nehru Report and D. Jinnah's 14 points. The correct answer is C, that is Nehru Report. Exercise 3. The plan of Sir Stafford Cripps advises that after the Second World War, A. India be granted complete independence, B. India should be partitioned into two before granting independence, 3. India should be made a republic with the condition that she will join the Commonwealth, D. India should be given dominion status. The correct answer is D, that is India should be given dominion status. Exercise 4. Within inverted comma, the English people are found by duty as well as interest to lend back to India the wealth derived therefrom in order to develop its resources. Inverted comma close. Who said this? A. Ramesh Chandra Datta, B. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and C. Dadabhai Naroji. D. Bal Gangadhar Tilak. The correct answer is C, that is Bal Gangadhar Tilak. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is C, that is Dadabhai Naroji. Exercise 5. Match list 1 with list 2 and select the correct code. In the horizontal column, list 1, space list 2, under list 1, newspapers or periodicals, under list 2, name of the editors. Under list 1 and newspapers and periodicals, in the vertical column, against serial number capital A, Mirat ul Akbar, against serial number capital B, Rast Gaftar, against serial number capital C, the Kesari, against serial number capital D, News Park. Under list 2 and name of editors, in the vertical column, under against serial number 1, Dadabhai Naroji, against serial number 2, Lester Hutchinson, under serial number 3, Ram Mohan Rai, under serial number 4, B.G. Tilak, under serial number 5, Firoz Shah Mehta. Code. In the horizontal column, capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A, in the vertical column, against serial number A1, serial number B5, serial number C3, serial number D3. Against capital B, in the vertical column, under capital B in the vertical column, against serial number A5, B3, C1, D1. Under capital C in the vertical column, against serial number A3, B4, C4, D2. Under capital D in the vertical column, against serial number A2, B1, C2 and D4. The correct answer is C, that is against serial number capital A, Mirat ul Akbar 3, that is Ram Mohan Rai. Under capital B, Rast Gaftar 1, that is Dadabhai Naroji. Under C, capital C, the Kesari 4, the B.G. Tilak. Under capital D, News Park 2, that is Lester Hutchinson. Exercise 6. Which of the following acts deprived Indian provinces of their law-making power? A. Act of 1913. B. Act of 1833. C. Act of 1853. And D. Act of 1861. The correct answer is B, that is Act of 1833. Serial number, exercise number 7. Which of the following demands of the moderates was accepted in the Parliamentary reforms? A. Dominion status for India. B. Beginning of responsible form of government. C. Increase in size of the councils. D. Idea of self-government. The correct answer is C, that is increase in size of the councils. Exercise 8. Which one of the following recommended a change in the pattern of diarchy introduced under the Act of 1919? A. Muddiman Committee, B. Sapru Committee, C. Simon Commission and D. Butler Commission. The correct answer is C, that is Simon Commission. Exercise 9. The act in which for the first time statutory rules were framed for the separate provincial subjects from the central subjects was the A. Government of India Act 1935, B. Government of India Act 1919, C. Indian Councils Act 1909 and D. Indian Councils Act 1892. The correct answer is B, that is Government of India Act 1919. Exercise 10. The Cabinet Mission Plan envisages to India A. Federation, B. Confederation, D. C. Quasi-Federation and D. Union of States. The correct answer is D. Union of States. Exercise 11. Under which one of the following acts was the communal electorate system introduced by the British in India for the first time? A. Government of India Act 1909, B. Government of India Act 1919, C. Indian Councils Act of 1861 and D. Indian Councils Act of 1862. The correct answer is A. That is Government of India Act 1909. Exercise 12.12. Which of the following series of names contains the names of moderates only? A. Mahadev Govindo Ranade, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Bipin Chandra Pal. B. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Firoz Shah Mehta and Dadabhai Naroji. C. Lala Rajpat Rai, W.C. Banerjee and Surendranath Banerjee. D. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, V. Srinivas Shastri and Bal Gangadhar Tilak. The correct answer is B. That is Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Firoz Shah Mehta and Dadabhai Naroji. Exercise 13. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column and list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column against serial number capital A Brahmo Samaj, serial number capital B Bombay Presidency Association, against serial number capital C Servants of India Society, against serial number capital D Theosophical Society. Under list 2 in the vertical column against serial number 1 Mrs. Anivasan and 2 against serial number 2 Gopal Krishna Gokhale, serial number 3 Dadabhai Naroji, serial number 4 Raja Ram Mohan Rai, serial number 5 Sir Firoz Shah Mehta. Code in the horizontal column capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A4 B1 C4 D4. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A5 B3 C5 D2. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A2 B2 C1 and D1 D5. Under serial number capital D in the vertical column against serial number A4 B4 C2 and D1. The correct answer is A. That is against serial number capital A Brahmo Samaj 4, that is Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Against serial number capital B Bombay Presidency Association 5, that is Sir Firoz Shah Mehta. Against capital C Servants of India Society 2, that is Gopal Krishna Gokhale. D. Theosophical Society 1, that is Mrs. Annie Besant. Page 17.70, Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. In exercises, exercise number 14, match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1, newspapers or periodicals. Under list 1, newspapers or periodicals. Under list 2, within bracket, founders / editors. Under list 1 and newspapers or periodicals. In the vertical column against serial number capital A, the Indian Review. Against serial number capital B, the Modern Review. Against serial number capital C, the Hindu. Against serial number capital D, the Bombay Chronicle. Under list 2 and founders and editors. In the vertical column against serial number 1 B.G. Horniman. Under serial number 2 J.A. Natteson. Under serial number 3 Ramanand Chatterjee. Under serial number 4 Virar Gravichari and others. Code in the horizontal column capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A2 B3 C3 D2. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A3 B2 C2 D3. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A4 D4 C1 and D1. Under serial number capital D in the vertical column against serial number A1 B1 C4 and D4. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is not A. The correct answer is wrong. I repeat, the correct answer is B. That is under capital A, the Indian Review 3, that is Ramanand Chatterjee. Under capital B, the Modern Review 2, that is G.A. Natteson. Under serial number capital C, that is the Hindu 4, that is Veera Garvachari and others. Under capital D, the Bombay Chronicle 1, that is B.G. Horniman. Exercise 15. Who among the following transformed the Shivaji and Ganapati festival into a national festival? A. Lala Rajpat Rai, B. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, C. Veer Savarkar, and D. Gopal Krishna Gokhale. The correct answer is B, that is Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Exercise 16. The Raw Left Act stood for A. Compulsory economic support to war efforts, B. Imprisonment without trial and summary procedures for trial, C. Suppression of the Khilafat movement, D. Imposition of restrictions on freedom of the press. The correct answer is B, that is imprisonment without trial and summary procedures for trial. Exercise 17. The Vernacular Press Act passed during the regime of Lord Lytton sought to A. Accord parity of movement of vernacular press and English press, B. Give complete freedom to the vernacular press, C. Impose restrictions on the vernacular press, D. Put restrictions on English press run by Indians. The correct answer is C, that is impose restrictions on the vernacular press. Exercise 18. In the federation established by the Act 1935, residuary powers were given to A. Federal Legislature, B. Provincial Legislature, C. Governor General, and D. Provincial Governors. The correct answer is C. Governor General. Exercise 19. Which of the following are the principal features of the Government of India Act 1919? 1. Introduction of diarchy in the executive government of the provinces. 2. Introduction of separate communal electorates for Muslims. D. Devolution of legislative authority by the centre of the provinces. 4. Expansion and reconstitution of central and provincial legislatures. Select the correct answers from the quotes given above. A. 1, 2 and 3, B. 2, 3 and 4, C. 1, 2 and 4, D. 1, 3 and 4. The correct answer is D, that is 1, 3 and 4. Separate 1, 3 and 4. The correct answer is D, that is 1, 3 and 4. 1. Introduction of diarchy in the executive government of the provinces. 3. That is devolution of legislative authority by the centre to the provinces. And 4. That is expansion and reconstitution of central and provincial legislatures. Separate communal electorates were introduced in the Indian Council Act of 1909. Exercise 20. When the Crown assumed direct responsibility for the Government of India in 1858, all powers, legislative, administrative and financial, came to be concentrated in the A. Viceroy and Governor General, B. Secretary of State for India and his Council, C. Viceroy's Council, D. Lieutenant Governor and Viceroy. The correct answer is B, that is Secretary of State for India and his Council. Exercise 21. One of the objectives of All India States People's Conference was to A. Establish responsible governments in princely states, B. Oppose the influence of the Congress in princely states, C. Suppress the Prajamandals in princely states, D. Establish a federation of princely states. The correct answer is A. Establish responsible governments in princely states. Exercise 17. Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises, page 17.18. Exercise number 22. Who described the Government of India Act 1935 as a new charter of bondage? A. Mahatma Gandhi, B. Jawaharlal Nehru, C. Sardar Patel, and D. Rajendra Prasad. The correct answer is B, that is Jawaharlal Nehru. Exercise 23. Between the 15th August 1947, when the country became free, and the 26th January 1950, when she declared itself a democratic sovereign republic, the Government of India functioned under the provisions of A. The Government of India Act 1935, B. The Indian Independence Act 1947, and the C. The Indian Provincial Constitution Order 1947, and D. None of the above. The correct answer is A. The Government of India Act 1935. Exercise 24. The most vexing question before the Nehru Committee was the A. Position of the backward classes in free India. B. Position of the minorities. C. Dominant status for India. And D. Khilafat question. The correct answer is C. That is dominant status for India. Exercise 25. Ramsay MacDonald's Communal Award provided for A. Separate code for Muslims. B. Special laws for women. And C. Separate electorates for depressed classes. And D. Say special privileges to the people in the Nizam dominion. The correct answer is C. That is separate electorates for depressed classes. Exercise 26. Which of the following political parties, groups boycotted the Salmon Commission? 1. Hindu Mahasabha. 2. Justice Party. 3. Muslim League. 4. Punjab Unionists. The code A. 1, 2, 3 and 4. B. 1, 2 and 4. C. 2 and 3. And D. 1, 3 and 4. The correct answer is A. That is 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1. Hindu Mahasabha. 2. Justice Party. 3. Muslim League. And 4. Punjab Unionists. Exercise 27. Which one of the following statements regarding the system of diarchy under the 1919 Act is correct? A. In the provinces, the councillors were responsible to provincial legislatures. B. It was the first step towards responsible government. C. The provincial governor was titled a head. D. None of the above. The correct answer is B. It was the first step towards responsible government. Exercise 28. The nature of the anti-imperialist struggle was A. Always peaceful and constitutional. B. Initially constitutional and by and large non-violent. C. Based on continuous armed resistance. And D. Largely supported by foreign powers. The correct answer is B. That is initially constitutional and by and large non-violent. Exercise 29. Which one of the following finally alienated the Muslims and crystallized the demand of the Pakistan? A. The introduction of separate electorates for the Muslims. B. The establishment of the Muslim League. C. The non-inclusion of Muslims in the provincial government. And D. The federal provincial provisions envisaged under the Government of India Act of 1935. The correct answer is C. That is the non-inclusion of the Muslims in the provincial government. After the 1937 elections under the Act of 1935, the League's poor performance made them frustrated. Jinnah and the League became furious. Exercise 30. Mainstream nationalism in India. A. Was characterized by chauvinism. B. Aimed at restoration of the Hindu state. C. Had National Socialism as its ultimate goal. D. Aimed at emancipation from colonial rule. The correct answer is D. That is aimed at emancipation from colonial rule. Exercise 31. Which of the following were responsible for the growth of nationalism in India during the British rule? 1. Economic exploitation of India. 2. Impact of Western education. C. 3. Role of the press. The code A 1, 2, 3, B 1 and 2, C 2 and 3, D 1 and 3. The correct answer is A. That is 1, 2 and 3. 1. Economic exploitation of India. 2. Impact of Western education. And 3. Role of the press. Exercise Chapter 17. Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises, page 17.19. Exercise number 32. When the British obtained the grant of Diwani of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, they acquired the right to A. Maintain law and order in these territories. B. Administer civil justice and collect revenue in these territories. C. Collected revenue and establish revenue administration in these territories. D. Military defend these territories. The correct answer is B. Administer civil justice and collect revenue in these territories. Exercise 33. Which of the following nationalist leaders has been described as being radical in policies but conservative on social issues? A. G.K. Gokhale. B. B.G. Tera. C. Lala Rajpat Rai, and D. Madan Mohan Malabha. The correct answer is B, that is B.G. Tilak. Exercise 34. When one of the following groups of leaders was connected with the Swarajist party: A. Motilal Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru and C.R. Das. B. Raghavendra Rao, Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Patel. C. Motilal Nehru, Vinoba Bhave, Vittal Bhai Patel and C.R. Das. D. Wrong. D. Vittal Bhai Patel, Sardar Patel and Jawaharlal Nehru. The correct answer is C, that is Motilal Nehru, Vittal Bhai Patel and C.R. Das. Exercise 35. Consider the following: 1. Gadhar Party, and 2. Khilafat Movement, 3. Dandi March, and D. Champaran Satyagraha. Their correct chronological sequence is: A. 4, 1, 2, 3, B. 1, 4, 3, 2, C. 4, 1, 3, 2, D. 1, 4, 2, 3. 1. Gadhar Party, 4. Champaran Satyagraha, 2. Khilafat Movement, 3. Dandi March. Exercise 36. Given below are two statements, one labeled as assertion A and the other labeled as reason R. Assertion A: the moderates within inverted comma believed in constitutional methods and tried to arouse public opinion in favor of their demands. Reason R: they were convinced that the time then was not yet ripe for overthrowing British rule. In the context of the above two statements, which one of the following is correct? A. Both A and R are individually true, and R is the correct explanation of A. B. Both A and R are individually true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true, but R is false. D. A is false, but R is true. The correct answer is A. That is, both A and R are individually true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Exercise 37. Who among following introduced local self-government in India? A. Lord Mountbatten, B. Lord Ripon, C. Lord Canning, and D. Lord Macaulay. The correct answer is B, that is Lord Ripon. Exercise 38. The Khilafat question was raised because the Indian Muslims A. wanted a separate homeland for themselves, B. were critical on the Rowlatt Act, C. were indignant over the terms of the Treaty of Sevres within bracket 1920, D. were dissatisfied with the Government of India Act 1990. The correct answer is C, was indignant over the terms of the Treaty of Sevres within bracket 1920, 38C. The Treaty of Sevres was concluded between the victorious powers and Turkey, in which steps were proposed to dismember the Turkish Ottoman Empire. Exercise 39. Match list 1 movements within bracket movements with list 2 yes within bracket. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against serial number capital A, Bardoli Satyagraha; against serial number capital B, Mopla Rebellion; against serial number capital C, Tevaga Movement; against serial number capital D, Champaran Satyagraha. Under list 2 in the vertical column, against serial number 1, 1946, serial number 2, 1917, serial number 3, 1921, serial number 4, 1928. 4. In the horizontal column, capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column, against serial number A4, B3, C4, D3. Under serial number capital B, A3, B4, C3, D4. Under capital C, against serial number A1, B2, C2, D1. Under capital D, against serial number A2, B1, C1 and D2. Under capital A, Bardolei Satyagraha 4, that is 1928. Under capital B, Mopla Rebellion 3, that is 1921. Under capital C, Tevaga Movement 1, 1946. Under capital D, Champaran Satyagraha 2, that is 1979. Page 17.20. Exercise 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises. Exercise number 40. Which one of the following formed part of the communal award within bracket McDonald announced by the British government? A. Recognition of the depressed classes as a minority community and giving them right to vote in the general constituencies. B. Conceding weightage to the Muslims in provinces in which they were in minority. C. Providing separate electorates for Indian Christians and Anglo-Indians. D. Reservation of certain seats for the Muslims. Correct answer is A. Recognition of the depressed classes as a minority community and giving them right to vote in the general constituencies. Exercise 41 considers the following events. 1. Pitt's India Act. 2. Diwani rights of estate of the East India Company. 3. Regulating Act. 4. Appointment of Warren Hastings as Governor of Bengal. The correct chronological sequences of these events is A. 2413, B. 4231, C. 2431 and D. 4213. The correct answer is 2431. Diwani within bracket 1765, Warren Hastings appointment 1772, Regulating Act 1773, Pitt's India Bill 1784. The correct answer is C, that is 2431. 2 means Diwani rights of estate of the East India Company. 4, that is appointment of Warren Hastings as Governor of Bengal. 3, Regulating Act. 1, Pitt's India Act. Exercise 42. One of the following pairs is not correctly matched. A. Motilal Nehru, Nehru Report. B. Gandhi, Champaran Satyagraha. C. Jinnah, Khalifat Movement. And D. S.C. Bose, Indian National Army. The correct answer is C, that is Jinnah, Khilafat Movement. Khilafat movement is characteristic of all brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. Exercise 43. Batch list 1 within bracket parties with list 2 leaders. In the horizontal column list 1 space list 1. The list 1 in the vertical column against serial number capital A Justice Party, against serial number capital B Swaraj Party, against serial number capital C Forward Bloc Party, against serial number capital D Labour Party of India. Again, under list 1 in the vertical column against serial number 1 S.A. Dange, against serial number 2 C.R. Das, serial number 3 B.R. Ambedkar, serial number 4 Subhash Chandra Bose, serial number 5 Dr. T.M. Nair. Code in the horizontal column capital A, capital B, capital C, capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A4, A5, B3, C1, D5. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A2, B2, C2 and D2. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A4, B5, C4, D4. Under serial number capital D in the vertical column against serial number A1, B1, C3 and D3. The correct answer is D, that is against serial number capital A 5, against serial number capital A, that is Justice Party 5, that is Dr. T.M. Nair, against capital B Swaraj Party 2, that is C.R. Das, against capital C Forward Bloc 4, that is Subhash Chandra Bose, against capital D against capital D, that is Labour Party of India. 3, that is B.R. Ambedkar. Exercise 44. Consider the following pairs of personalities and events. 1. Lord Dalhousie, Doctrine of Lapse. 2. Lord Curzon, Partition of Bengal. 3. Question 3. Lord Wavell, Simla Conference. Which of these pairs are correctly matched? A. 1 and 2, B. 2 and 3, C. 1, 2 and 3, and D. 1 and 2. The correct answer is C, that is 1, 2 and 3. 1. Lord Dalhousie. 2. Lord Dalhousie, Doctrine of Lapse. 2. Lord Curzon, Partition of Bengal. 3. Lord Wavell, Simla Conference. Exercise 45. Indian National Congress began to work as a political party since A. 1885, B. 1907, 1907, C. Calcutta Congress within bracket September 1920, D. Nagpur Congress December 1920. The correct answer is D, that is Nagpur Congress December 90. I repeat, D, that is Nagpur Congress within bracket December 1920, bracket closed. Nagpur session of the Indian National Congress committed itself to the first All India movement, the non-cooperation movement. Exercise 46. Under the system of subsidiary alliance, a prince A enjoyed the right to settle his disputes with the neighbours with the help of a British subsidiary force. B could carry on trade with European powers other than the English. C was required to station a resident Englishman. D had to allow for his security the stationing within the territory of a British subsidiary force. The correct answer is C, that is was required to station a resident Englishman. Exercise 47. The problem of communal consciousness of India can be traced to the A. Ancient religious traditions. B. True of the Mughals. And repeat, wrong. B. Wrongly said. It is repeat. B. Rule of the Mughals. C. Mass mobilization and electoral politics of early 20th century. D. Partition of the country. The correct answer is C. Mass mobilization and electoral politics of early 20th century. Exercise 48. The Pune Pact in 1932 upheld A. Joint electorates. B. Separate electorates. C. Joint electorates with reserved seats of the scheduled castes. D. Joint electorates with reserved seats of caste Hindus. The correct answer is C, that is joint electorates with reserved seats for the scheduled castes. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises, page 17.21. Page 17.21. Exercise number 49. Which one of the following is not correct about diarchy introduced by the Government of India Act of 1919? A. It was a system of dual governments at central and provincial levels. B. Provincial subjects were divided into reserved and transformed. C. Governor appointed ministers from the elected members of the Legislative Council. And D. Governor had the power of overriding the majority decision. The correct answer is A. It was a system of dual governments at central and provincial levels. Exercise 50. Which one of the following statements is correct with reference to the Government of India Act 1935? A. The Federal Executive was to consist of the Governor General and Councillors. B. The Federal Legislature was to consist of the Governor General, the Council of State and the Federal Assembly. C. There were 12 governors, provinces and 6 chief commissioners, provinces. D. The provincial legislature was to consist of the governor and the only lower house of legislative. The correct answer is B, that is the federal legislature was to consist of the Governor General, the Council of State and the Federal Assembly. Exercise 51. Consider the following statements regarding the composition of the Constituent Assembly. 1. The representatives were to be elected from the 4 constituents: Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs and Christians. 2. The chairman of the Union Constitution Committee was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. 3. The total strength of the Constituent Assembly was 389. 4. The drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar consisted of 8 members. Which of these is are correct? A. 1, 2, 3 and 4. B. 1, 2 and 4. C. 3 only. D. 1 only. The correct answer is C, that is 3 only. 3. The total strength of Constituent Assembly was 389. Exercise 52. Who among the following championed the cause of socialist ideas in the Indian National Congress before independence? A. Dr. Pattavi Sitaramaiah. B. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. C. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And D. Jamunalal Bajaj. The correct answer is B, that is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Exercise 53. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 within inverted comma acts. Under list 2 within inverted comma provisions. Under list 1 and acts in the vertical column against serial number capital A, the Government of India Act 1935. B. The Government of India Act 1909. C. Capital C. The Government of India Act 1919. Capital D. The Government of India Act 1858. Under list 2 and provisions in the vertical column against serial number 1, transfer of power from the East India Company to the British Crown. 2. Envisaged dominion status to India. 3. Introduction of provincial autonomy. 4. Introduction of diarchy in the provinces. 5. Introduction of separate electorate for Muslims and others. Quote, in the horizontal column, capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A1, B3, C1, D3. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A4, B5, C5 and D4. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A2, B4, C4 and D2. Under serial number capital T in the vertical column against serial number A, I repeat, quote, in the horizontal column capital A, capital B, capital C, capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A3, B3, C1, D1, D3. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A4, B5, C5, D4. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A2, B4, C4 and D2. Under capital D in the vertical column against serial number A3, B1, C3 and D1. The correct answer is B, that is under serial number capital A, the Government of India Act 1935. 3, that is introduction of provincial. Under capital B, that is the Government of India Act 1909. The correct answer is B. 5, the introduction of separate electorate for Muslims and others. Under capital C, the Government of India Act 1919. 4, introduction of diarchy in provinces. Under serial number capital D, the Government of India Act 1858. Under the Government of India Act 1858. The correct answer is 1, that is transfer of power from the East India Company to the British Crown. Exercise 54. Revolutionary extremists in India of the post-1920 phase could be distinguished from those of the earlier phase due to A. Goal of complete independence. B. Operation through secret societies. C. Extent of use of violence. And D. Acquisition of a revolutionary socialist ideology. The correct answer is D, that is acquisition of a revolutionary socialist ideology. Exercise is page 17.22. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercise 55. Match list 1, Constitutional Development in India during the British Raj, with list 2, within bracket Act / Reform. In the horizontal column, list 1, space list 2. Under list 1, diarchy, list against capital A. Under list 1 in the vertical column against capital A, diarchy. Under against capital A, serial number B, federalism. Serial number C, introduction of communal electorates. And D, creation of the office of the Governor General. Under list 2 in the vertical column against serial number 1, the Regulating Act 1773. Serial number 2, Government of India Act 1919. The 3, serial number 3, Indian Councils Act 1892. Indian Councils Act 1892. Serial number 4, Government of India Act 1935. Serial number 5, Minto Morley Reforms 1909. Code in the horizontal column against in the horizontal column against capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A2 B1 C2 D1. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A4 D5 C5 and D4. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A5 B3 C3 and D5. Under serial number capital D in the vertical column against serial number A1 B2 C1 and D2. The correct answer is A. That is under serial number capital A, diarchy 2, that is Government of India Act 1919. Under serial number capital B, federalism 4, that is Government of India Act 1935. Under serial number capital C, introduction of communal electorates 5, that is Minto Morley Reforms 1990. Under serial number capital D, creation of the office of the Governor General 1, the Regulating Act 1773. Exercise 56. Select the correct chronological sequence of the movements given below. A. Non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement. B. Civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement, non-cooperation movement. C. Non-cooperation movement, Quit India movement, civil disobedience movement. D. Quit India movement, non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement. The correct answer is A. That is non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, Quit India movement. Exercise 57. Match list 1 within bracket theorists with list 2 within bracket ideas. In the horizontal column, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against serial number capital A, Dadabhai Naroji. Serial number capital B, Mahatma Gandhi. Serial number capital C, Rabindranath Tagore. Serial number capital D, Joy Prakash Narayan. Against under list 2 in the vertical column, against serial number 1, trustship. Serial number 2, total revolution. Serial number 3, drain theory. Serial number 4, internationalism. Code in the horizontal column, capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A3 B2 C3 D2. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A4 B1 C1 D4. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A1 B4 C4 D1. Under capital D in the vertical column against serial number A2 B3 C2 and D3. The correct answer is C. That is against serial number A, Dadabhai Naroji. 3, that is drain theory. Against serial capital B, that is Mahatma Gandhi. 1, that is trusteeship. Against capital C, that is Rabindranath Tagore. 4, that is internationalism. Against capital D, that is Joy Prakash Narayan. 2, that is total revolution. Exercise 58. Match list 1 within bracket theorists with list 2 within bracket ideas. The list 1, under list 1 feature, under list 2 act. Under list 1 feature, under list 1 and feature with the vertical column A, federal schemes of government. B, diarchy in provincial government. C, communal representation. D, rigid centralization. Under list 2 acts against vertical in the vertical column in serial number 1, Morley Minto Reforms 1909. 2 in serial number 2, Indian Councils Act 1861. Serial number 3, Government of India Act 1935. Serial number 4, Montagu Chelmsford Reforms 1919. 1919. Code in the horizontal column, capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A2, B3, C2, D3, under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A1, B4, C4, D1, under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A4, B1, C1, D4, under capital D in the vertical column against serial number A3, B2, C3 and D2. The correct answer is B, that is under capital A, Federal Scheme of Government, 3, that is Government of India Act 1935. Under B, that is Diarchy in Provincial Government, 4, that is Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms 1919. C, that is Communal Representation, 1, that is Morley Minto Reforms 1909. Under D, that is Rigid Centralization, 2, that is Indian Councils Act 1861. Exercise 59. Who among the following was the chairman of the States Committee of the Constituent Assembly? A. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, B. Jawaharlal Nehru, C. Dr. Rajendra Prasad and D. Dr. Sardar Patel. The correct answer is D, that is Jawaharlal Nehru. Exercise 60. What is the reason for rejection of the Cripps Plan by the Indian National Congress? A. It granted dominion status to the Indian Union. B. It granted dominion status to the provinces. C. It indirectly conceded the demand for partition. D. It was aimed at continuing British rule even after the war. The correct answer is C, that is it indirectly conceded the demand for partition. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.23, exercises. Exercise 61. Why did the Muslim League observe Direct Action Day on August 16, 1945? A. To bring about unity among the various sections of the Muslims. B. To protest against the inadequate representation to the Muslims in the interim government. C. To highlight the demand for creation of Pakistan. D. To express solidarity with Congress in its struggle against the British. The correct answer is C, that is to highlight the demand for creation of Pakistan. Exercise 62. During whose viceroyalty was the Repressive Act, also known as the Gagging Act, enacted? A. Lord Curzon, B. Lord Lytton, C. Lord Ripon and D. Lord Morley. The correct answer is B, that is Lord Lytton. Exercise 63. Which one of the following act passed by the British Parliament sought to bring reforms in the company's affairs in India? A. The Regulating Act of 1773, B. The Charter Act of 1833, C. The Indian Councils Act of 1861 and D. The Montfort Reforms. The correct answer is A, that is Regulating Act of 1773. Exercise 64. Which of the following was the head of the committee known as Nehru Committee? A. B.K. Nehru, C. B. Arun Nehru, C. Motilal Nehru and D. Jawaharlal Nehru. The correct answer is C, that is Motilal Nehru. Exercise 65. Consider the following with regard to the cabinet mission plans. 1. India to be a union of India. 2. Residuary powers be given to the provinces. 3. The Constituent Assembly was to consist of 389 members. And 4. Interim government to have 6 congressmen, 4 Leaguers, 2 Indian Christians and 2 Sikhs. Code 1A 124, B 134, C 123 and D 234. The correct answer is C, that is 123. 1. India to be a union of India. 2. Residuary powers be given to the provinces. And 3. The Constituent Assembly was to consist of 389 members. Exercise 66. Dickey Bird Plan is known as A. Cabinet Mission Plan, B. Wavell Plan, C. Cripps Plan and D. Mountbatten Plan. The correct answer is D, that is Mountbatten Plan. Exercise 67. Who was the first elected chairman of Constituent Assembly? A. Jawaharlal Nehru, B. B.R. Ambedkar, C. Rajendra Prasad and D. Sachidananda Sinha. The correct answer is C, that is Rajendra Prasad. Exercise 68. The principal draftsman of the drafting committee was A. B.R. Ambedkar, B. B.N. Rao, C. S.N. Mukherjee and D. N. Gopalakrishnami Iyengar. The correct answer is C, that is S.N. Mukherjee. Exercise 69. Consider the following statements with regard to the Government of India Act 1935. 1. Nehru regarded the Act of 1935 as the charter of slavery. 2. The Act proposed a federation for the British provinces and the primary states. 3. The residuary powers were to rest with the Governor General. 4. Burma, within bracket now Myanmar, bracket close, was to remain with India. Code 123, B134, C124 and D234. The correct answer is 123. 1. Nehru regarded the Act of 1935 as the charter of slavery. 2. The Act proposed a federation for the British provinces and the primary states. 3. The residuary powers were to rest with the Governor General. Exercise 70. Match list 1 with list 2. Under list 1, in the horizontal column, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column against capital A, Morley-Minto reforms, capital B, Montfort reforms, capital C, Act of 1935, capital D, Act of 1833. Under list 2 in the vertical column, again serial number 1, legislative centralization, serial number 2, separate communal electorate, serial number 3, diarchy, serial number 4, provincial autonomy. Code in the horizontal column, capital A space, capital B space, capital C space, capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column, again serial number A, 2, B3, C1, D2. Under capital B in the vertical column, again serial number A3, B2, C3, D4. Under capital C in the vertical column, again serial number A4, B1, C4, D1. Under capital D in the vertical column, again serial number A1, B4, C2 and D3. In the correct answer is A. That is again serial number capital A, that is Morley-Minto reform. 2, that is separate communal electorate. Capital B, that is Montfort reforms. 3, that is diarchy, D-Y-A-R-C-H-Y. Under capital C, that is Act of 35. 4, that is provincial autonomy. Under D, capital D, that is Act of 1833. 1, that is legislative centralization. Page 17.24, Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises. Exercise number 71. The bicameral legislature at the center was introduced by the following Act. A. The Better Government of India Act 1858. B. The Indian Council Act 1892. C. The Indian Council Act 1909. D. The Government of India Act 1919. The correct answer is D. That is the Government of India Act 1919. Exercise 72. Which of the following transferred power from the English East India Company to the British Crown? A. The Revolt of 1857. B. The Better Government of India Act 1858. C. The Act of 1909. The Act of 1919. The correct answer is B. The Better Government of India Act 1858. Exercise 73. The Queen's Proclamation was made at A. Delhi, B. Allahabad, C. Bombay, within bracket now Mumbai, bracket closed, D. Madras, now Chennai, within bracket. The correct answer is B, that is Allahabad. Exercise 74. The Vernacular Press Act, within bracket 1878, came in during the regime of A. Ripon, B. Little, C. Curzon and D. Linlithgow. The correct answer is P, that is Little. Exercise 75. Which of the following Indians was the first to qualify the civil service examination in 1869? A. Surendranath Banerjee, B. Biharilal Gupta, C. Ramesh Chandra Datta and D. Satyendranath Tagore. The correct answer is Satyendranath Tagore. Exercise 76. Who has founded the Attiyo Sabha in 1815. A. Keshav Chandra Sen. B. Raja Ram Mohan Rai. C. Satyendranath Mujumdar. D. Devendranath Tagore. The correct answer is Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Exercise 77. Delhi was declared the capital of India in the following year. A. 1909, B. 1911, C. 1913 and D. 1915. The correct answer is B. That is 1911. Exercise 78. On whose suggestion the Indian National Union was named as the Indian National Congress? A. Dadabhai Naoroji, B. A.O. Harn, C. S.N. Banerjee, D. Firoz Shah Mehta. The correct answer is A. That is Dadabhai Naoroji. Exercise 79. Consider the following with regard to the objects of the Congress in 1885. 1. Promotion of friendship. 2. Eradication of prejudices. 3. Recording of matured opinion of the educated classes. 4. Demand of Swaraj. Which of the above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, B. 1, 2 and 4, C. 1, 3, 4 and D. 2, 3, 4. The correct answer is A. That is 1, 2, 3. 1. Promotion of friendship. 2. Eradication of prejudices and 3. Recording the matured opinion of the educated classes. Exercise 80. Assertion A. The early congressmen were known as moderates. Reason R. Their demands were moderate, so were their means. A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. B. A and R are true, R is not the explanation of A. C. A is true, R is false. D. A is false, R is true. The correct answer is A. That is A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Exercise 81. The partition of Bengal was proposed by the following. A. Lord Bentinck. B. Lord Curzon. C. Lord Ripon and D. Lord Little. The correct answer is B. Lord Curzon. Exercise 82. The Calcutta Congress session in 1906 was decided by A. Lala Lajpat Rai, B. Rashbihari Bose, C. Dadabhai Naoroji and D. Gopal Krishnan Gokhale. The correct answer is C. That is Dadabhai Naoroji. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, page 17.25, exercises. Exercise number 83. One of the leaders of the Home Rule movement was Tilak. The other was A. Sarojini Naidu, B. Kamala Nehru, C. Kasturba Gandhi and D. Annie Besant. The correct answer is D. That is Annie Besant. 84. Exercise 84. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column list 1 and list space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column serial number capital A Lala Lajpat Rai, serial number capital B Tilak, serial number capital C Aurobindo Ghosh, serial number capital D Chandrasekhar Azad. Under list 2 in the vertical column again serial number 1 Uttar Pradesh, serial number 2 Punjab, serial number 3 Maharashtra, serial number 4 Bengal. Code in the horizontal column heading capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under A in the vertical column again serial number A2 B2 C3 D3. Under serial number capital under capital B again serial number A3 B4 C2 D1. Under capital C in the vertical column again serial number A4 B1 C4 D2. Under capital D in the vertical column again serial number A1 B3 C1 D4. The correct answer is A. That is under serial number A Lala Lajpat Rai. 2, that is Punjab. Wrong. I repeat. Match list 1 with list 2 in the horizontal column list 1 and list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column capital A against serial number capital A Lala Lajpat Rai, serial number capital B Tilak, serial number capital C Aurobindo Ghosh, serial number capital D Chandrasekhar Azad. Under list 2 in the vertical column 1 Uttar Pradesh, 2 Punjab, 3 Maharashtra and 4 Bengal. Code in the horizontal column in the horizontal column capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A2, B2, C3, D3. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A3, B4, C2, D1. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A4, B1, C4, D2. Under capital D in the vertical column against serial number A3, B3, C1, D4. The correct answer is A. That is under capital A, Lala Rajpat Rai. 2, that is Punjab. Capital B, Tilak. 3, that is Maharashtra. Capital C, Aurobindo Ghosh. 4, that is Bengal. Capital D, that is Chandrasekhar Azad. 1, that is Uttar Pradesh. Exercise 85. Consider the following with regard to Gandhi's role in India's liberation struggle. 1. Champaran Satyagraha. 2. Kheda Satyagraha. 3. Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act. 4. Birth of the Swaraj Party. Which of the following are correct? A. 1, 2, 3. B. 1, 2, 4. C. 1, 3, 4. And D. 2, 3, 4. The correct answer is A. That is 1, 2, 3. 1. Champaran Satyagraha. 2. Kheda Satyagraha. 3. Satyagraha against the Rowlatt Act. Exercise 86. Within inverted comma all Hilal was started by the following. A. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. B. Shaukat Ali. D. Muhammad Ali. And D. M.A. Jinnah. The correct answer is A. That is Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. Exercise 87. Which of the following acts introduced diarchy in the provinces? A. Indian Councils Act of 1861. B. Indian Councils Act of 1892. C. Indian Councils Act of 1909. And D. Indian Councils Act of 1919. The correct answer is D. That is Indian Councils Act of 1919. It was the Government of India Act 1919. Exercise 88. Which one of the following statements is correct? The members of the Constituent Assembly were A. Elected through indirect election by the members of the provincial legislative assemblies. B. Elected directly by the people. C. Nominated by the government. D. Elected by the local self-government bodies. The correct answer is A. That is elected through indirect election by the members of the provincial legislative assemblies. Exercise 89. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column list 1 space list 2, under list 1 in the vertical column against serial number A, bicameral system against serial number capital B, legislative devolution against serial number capital C, separate electorate against serial number capital D, provincial autonomy. Under list 2 in the vertical column against serial number 1, the Government of India Act 1935, and 2, serial number 2, the Indian Council Act 1861, serial number 3, Montagu Chelmsford Reform, under serial number 4, the Indian Councils Act 1892, 5, Morale Minto Reforms. 4, in the horizontal column capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A, 5, B3, C5, D3. Under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A, 1, B2, C2, D1. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A4, B5, C4, D5. Under capital D in the vertical column against serial number A2, B1, C1 and D2. The correct answer is B. That is under capital A, bicameral system. 3, that is Montagu Chelmsford Reforms. Under capital B, that is legislative devolution. 1, the Government of India Act 1935. Under capital C, separate electorate. 4, that is the Indian Councils Act 1892. Under capital B, D, provincial autonomy. 2, that is the Indian Council Act 1861. Exercise 90. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column against capital A, serial number capital A, Home Rule Movement. Against serial number capital B, Vernacular Press Act. Against serial number capital C, Policy of Subsidiary Alliance. Against serial number capital D, Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. Under list 2 in the vertical column, against serial number 1 Lord Cornwallis, serial number 2 M.G. Renade, serial number 3 B.G. Tilak, serial number 4 Lord Wellesley, and serial number 5 Lord Lytton. Quote, in the horizontal column headings are capital A space capital B space capital C space capital T. Under capital A in the vertical column against serial number A2 B3 C2 D3. Under serial number capital B against serial number A4 B5 C5 D4. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A1 B4 C4 and D1. Against under serial number capital D in the vertical column against serial number A3 B2 C3 and D2. The correct answer is B, that is under serial number A. Serial number A means Home Rule Movement. 3, that is B.G. Tilak. Under capital B, that is Vernacular Press Act. 5, that is Lord Lytton. Under capital C, Policy of Subsidiary Alliance. 4, that is Lord Wellesley. Under capital D, Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. 2, that is B.G. Tilak. Page 17.26, Chapter 17, Constitutional Developments and National Movement in India, exercise number 91. Which one of the following pairs is correctly matched? A. Indian Councils Act of 1892, Principle of Election. B. Indian Councils Act of 1909, Responsible Government. C. Government of Indian Act 1919, Provincial Autonomy. D. Government of Indian Act 1935, Diarchy in the States. A. Correct answer is A. Indian Councils Act of 1892, Principle of Election. Exercise 92. Consider the following statements. In early 1920s, Gandhi argued that Swaraj is impossible without 1. Khadi, 2. Hindu-Muslim unity, 2. 3. Abolition of untouchability, and 4. Nai Talib, within bracket basic education, bracket close. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, 4. B. 1, 2, 3. C. 1 and 3. And D. 2 and 4. The correct answer is B, that is 1, 2, 3. 1. Khadi. 2. Hindu-Muslim unity. 3. Abolition of untouchability. Exercise 93. Consider the following events. 1. Lucknow Pact. 2. Promulgation of Vernacular Press Act. 3. Establishment of Arya Samaj. 4. Partition of Bengal. Which one of the following is the correct chronological sequence of the events given above? A. 3, 4, 2, 1. B. 1, 2, 4, 3. C. 3, 2, 4, 1. And D. 1, 4, 2, 3. The correct answer is C, that is 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 2. The correct answer is C, that is 3, 2, 4, 1. 3. Establishment of Arya Samaj. 2. Promulgation of Vernacular Press Act. 4. Partition of Bengal. 1. Lucknow Pact. Directions. The following questions relate to assertion A and reason R. Examine them and select the correct answer from the quotes given below. Both assertion A, the Better Government of India Act 1858 made the English East India Company control the Indian affairs under the authority of the Secretary of the State for India. Reason R, the Secretary of State for India was to be a minister in the British cabinet. A, both A and R are individually true, and R is the correct explanation of A. B, both A and R are individually true, R is not the correct explanation of A. C, A is true but R is false. And D, A is false but R is true. The correct answer is D, that is A is false but R is true. Exercise 95. Assertion A, the Morley Minto reforms introduced separate electorates in India. Reason R, the British government wanted to give the Hindus and the Muslims same amount of significance. A, both A and R are individually true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Both Both A and R are individually true. R is not the correct explanation of A. C, A is true but R is false. D, A is false but R is true. The correct answer is C, that is A is true but R is false. Exercise 96. Assertion A. The roots of Indian Independence Act 1947 can be traced to the Government of India Act 1935. Reason R. The 1947 Act gave India freedom but at the cost of partition. A. Both A and R are individually true and R is the correct explanation of A. B. Both A and R are individually true but R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is D, that is A is false but R is true. Exercise 97. Assertion A. The extremists were revolutionaries without violence. Reason R. Extremist ideology can be revolutionary without resorting to violence. Both A and R are individually true and R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R are individually true, R is not the correct explanation of A. C, A is true but R is false. D, A is false but R is true. The correct answer is A, that is both A and R are individually true and R is the correct explanation of A. Exercise 98. Assertion A. Gandhi was a socialist without socialism. Reason R. He was certainly opposed to exploitation without advocating a system of public ownership of the means of productions. Both A and R are individually true and R is the correct explanation of A. B. Both A and R are individually true. R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is A, that is both A and R are individually true and R is the correct explanation of A. 99. Assertion A. Gandhi was largely Oriental whereas Nehru was to a great extent Western oriented. Reason R. Gandhiji looked towards Gokhale and Nehru towards Gandhi. Both A and R are individually true and R is the correct explanation of A. B. Both A and R are individually true, R is not the correct explanation of A. C. A is true but R is false. D. A is false but R is true. The correct answer is B, that is both A and R are individually true, R is not the correct explanation of A. Exercise 7, Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises, page 17.27. Exercise number 100. Which one of the following acts are introduced diarchy at the center? A. The Government of India Act 1919. B. The Government of India Act 1935. C. Morley-Minto Reforms 1909 and D. Indian Independence Act 1947. The correct answer is B. The Government of India Act 1935. Exercise 101. Which of the following was the basis on which the Government of India Act 1919 was made? A. The Indian Councils Act 1909. B. Montagu's Declaration 1917. C. The Viceroy of England in the World War I within bracket 1918 and D. None of the above. The correct answer is B. Montagu's Declaration 1917. 102. Exercise 102. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column against list 1 in the vertical column against serial number capital A Clive, serial number capital B Cornwallis, serial number capital C Wellesley, serial number capital D Benting. Under list 2 in the vertical column against serial number 1 permanent settlement, against serial number 2 dual government, serial number 3 removal of Soti practice and serial number 4 subsidiary alliance. Code in the horizontal column in the heading capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under A in the vertical column against serial number A1 B1 C2 D2. Under serial number under capital B in the vertical column against serial number A2 B3 C1 and D4. Under capital C in the vertical column against serial number A3 B2 C4 and D3. Under serial number capital D, under capital D is not serial number. Again repeat, serial under capital D in the vertical column against serial number A4, B4, C3 and D1. The correct answer is C, that is under A, Clive. C2, that is dual government. Under capital B, Cornwallis. 1. Permanent settlement. Under capital C, Wellesley. 4. That is subsidiary alliance. Under capital D, Bentinck. 3. That is removal of Soti practice. Exercise 103. Exercise 103. Which of the following with regard to permanent settlement as introduced is incorrect? A. Revenue collectors became landlords. B. They were to collect revenue from the peasants. C. They are to be the owners of the land. D. Jamindars and revenue collectors were separated from one another. The correct answer is D. That is, Jamindars and revenue collectors were separated from one another. Exercise 104. One of the following does not match. A. First Maratha War 1775 to 1882. B. Second Maratha War 1802 to 1803. C. Third Maratha War 1803 to 1805. D. Fourth Maratha War 1817 to 1818. The correct answer is B. That is Second Maratha War 1802 to 1803. It was between 1802 and 1804. Exercise 105. Subsidiary alliance as imposed by Wellesley did not include which of the following feature? A. An English resident was to be kept in the court of the native ruler. B. The native ruler could make war and conclude peace with the consent of the English resident. C. The English force kept in the native state was to be maintained by the English expenditure. D. The company was not to interfere in the internal affairs of the native states. The correct answer is C. The English force kept in the native state was to be maintained by the English expenditure. All expenditure on the English force was to be borne by the native ruler. Exercise 106. Which of the following matches with A. Dalhousie, subsidiary alliance. B. Cornwallis, temporary settlement. C. Bentinck, doctrine of lapse. And D. Curzon, Indian Universities Act. The correct answer is D. That is Curzon, Indian Universities Act. Exercise 107. Consider the following statements. 1. Dalhousie introduced the doctrine of lapse. 2. He extended the doctrine of lapse. 3. He made use of the doctrine of lapse. Which of the above are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, B. 1 and 2, C. 2 and 3, D. 1 and 3. The correct answer is A. 1, 2 and 3. 1. Dalhousie introduced the doctrine of lapse. 2. He extended the doctrine of lapse. 3. He made use of the doctrine of lapse. Exercise 108. Consider the following with regard to the Better Government of India Act 1858. 1. Abolition of the Board of Control. 2. Creation of the Indian Council. 3. Secretary of State to appoint the Viceroy of India. And D. 4. Lord Canning read the Queen's Proclamation at Allahabad. Which of the following are correct? A. 1, 2, 3, B. 1, 2, 4, C. 1, 3, 4, and D. 2, 3, 4. The correct answer is B. That is 1, 2, and 4. 1. Abolition of the Board of Control. 2. Creation of the Indian Council. 4. Lord Canning read the Queen's Proclamation at Allahabad. Chapter 17. Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises. Exercise 109. Queen's Proclamation did not include A. All to enjoy equal protection of law. B. General clemency. C. No relationship with the native rulers. D. Laws to respect the religions and customs prevailing in India. The correct answer is C. No relationship with the native rulers. Exercise 110. Which of the following was not a Council's Act? A. The Act of 1861. B. The Act of 1892. C. The Act of 1909. C. The Act of 1909. And D. The Act of 1919. The correct answer is D. That is the Act of 1919. The Act of 1919 was the Government of India Act 1919. Exercise 111. Which of the following does not match? A. Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Vedanta College. B. Ishwar Chandra Sanskrit College Vidyasagar. C. Henry V. Deroggio Hindu College. D. Dadabhai Naroji Ferguson College. The correct answer is D, that is Dadabhai Naroji Ferguson College. Dadabhai Naroji taught at Elphinstone College. Exercise 112. Who was associated with Young Bengal movement? A. Raja Ram Mohan Rai. B. Henry Vivian Deroggio. C. Keshav Chandra Sen. And D. Devendranath Tagore. The correct answer is B, that is Henry Vivian Deroggio. Exercise 113. Who founded the Tattvabodhini Sabha? A. Devendranath Tagore. B. Rabindranath Tagore. C. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. And D. Keshav Chandra Sen. The correct answer is A. Devendranath Tagore. Exercise 114. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against capital A, serial capital A, Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Against serial number capital B, M.G. Ranade. Serial number capital C, Dayananda Saraswati. Serial number capital D, Jyotiba Phule. Under list 2 in the vertical column, against serial number 1, Prarthana Samaj. Against serial number 2, Arjo Samaj. Serial number 3, Brahmo Samaj. Serial number 4, Satya Sodhak Samaj. 4. In the vertical column, in the horizontal column, heading capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under head A, capital A in the vertical column, against serial number A2, B3, C3 and D2. Under capital B, A3, B1, C2 and D1. Under capital C, serial number A4, B2, C1 and D3. Under capital D, serial number A1, B4, C4 and D4. The correct answer is B, that is under capital A, that is Raja Ram Mohan Rai. 3, that is Brahmo Samaj. Capital B, M.G. Ranade. 1, that is Prarthana Samaj. Capital C, Dayananda Saraswati. 2, that is Arjo Samaj. Capital D, Jyotiba Phule. 4, that is Satya Sodhak Samaj. Wrong. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises, page 17.28, exercise number 115. Which one of the following is not associated with M.G. Ranade? A. Pune Sarvajanik Sabha. B. Prarthana Samaj. C. The Indian Social Conference. D. Bethune School. The correct answer is D. Bethune School. D. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar was associated with Bethune School. Exercise 116. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column, list 1 and list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against serial number capital A, Aligarh movements. Capital B, Wahhabi movement. Capital C, Ahmadiyya. Capital D, Deoband. Under list 2 in the vertical column, against serial number 1, Saeed Ahmed Khan. Against serial number 2, Mirza Ghulam Ahmed. Against serial number 3, Saeed Ahmed movement. Brahibi. Serial number 4, Rashid Ahmed movement Gangohi. Under in the code in the horizontal column, capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under capital A in the vertical column, against serial number A1, serial number B1, C1, D1. Under capital B in the vertical column, against serial number A2, B3, C4, D2. Under capital C in the vertical column, against serial number A3, B2, C2 and D4. Under capital D in the vertical column, against serial number A4, B4, C3 and D3. The correct answer is B, that is under capital A, Aligarh movement 1, that is Saeed Ahmed Khan. Under capital B, Wahhabi movement 3, that is Sayyid Ahmed movement Brahibi. Under capital C, Ahmadiyya 2, that is Mirza Ghulam Ahmed. Under D, Deoband 4, that is Rashid Ahmed movement Gangohi. Exercise 117. Which of the following does not match? A. Maharashtra Chepikar brothers. B. Tamil Nadu Savarkar brothers. C. Punjab Sufi Amba Prasad. D. Andhra Pradesh Harshabotham Rao. The correct answer is B, that is Tamil Nadu Savarkar brothers. Exercise 118. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against serial number A, Abhinava Bharat. Against serial number capital B, Anushilan Samiti. Against serial number capital C, Gadur Party. Against serial number capital D, Jugantor. Under list 2 in the vertical column, against serial number 1, Barindra Ghosh. Serial number 2, Sohan Singh Bhakna. Against serial number 3, Savarkar. Against serial number 4, Aurobindo Ghosh. Quote. In the horizontal column, headings are capital A, space capital B, space capital C, space capital D. Under the heads A, against in the vertical column, against serial number A2, B2, C4, D4, D3. Under capital B, in the vertical column, against serial number A4, B4, C2, D2. Under capital D, in the vertical column, against serial number A2, B3, C1 and D1. Under capital D, in the vertical column, against serial number A1, B1, C3 and D4. The correct answer is A, that is capital A. Under capital A, Abhinava Bharat. 3, that is Savarkar. Under capital B, Anushilan Samiti. 4, Aurobindo Ghosh. Under capital C, Gadar Party. 2, that is Sohan Singh Bhakna. Under capital D, Jugantor. 1, that is Barindra Ghosh. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Exercises, page 17.29 and exercise number 119. Match list 1 with list 2. In the horizontal column, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against serial number A, Linlith Grow. I repeat, against serial number capital A. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against serial number capital A, Linlith Grow. B. Mahatma Gandhi. C. Stafford Cripps and D. A.V. Alexander. Under list 2 in the vertical column, against serial number 1, Cabinet Mission. Serial number 2, Quit India Movement. Serial number 3, August Offer. Serial number 4, Cripps Mission. Code in the horizontal column, headings, capital A, space capital B, space capital C, space capital D. Under the heads A, in the vertical column, A3, B3, C3, D3. Under capital B in the vertical column, against serial number A4, B1, C2 and D1. Under capital C in the vertical column, against serial number A1, B4, C4 and D4. Under capital D in the vertical column, against serial number A2, B2, C1 and D2. The correct answer is C, that is under capital A, Linlith Grow. 3, that is August Offer. B, Mahatma Gandhi. 2, that is Quit India Movement. C, Stafford Cripps. 4, that is Cripps Mission. D, that is A.V. Alexander. 1, that is Cabinet Mission. Exercise 120. Match list 1 with list 2, indicating the correct year of the formation of the following political parties. In the horizontal column, list 1 space list 2. Under list 1 in the vertical column, against serial number A, Indian National Congress. Serial number capital B, Muslim League. Serial number capital C, Hindu Mahasabha. Serial number capital D, Akali Dal. Under list 2 in the vertical column, 1 against serial number 1, 1906. Against serial number 2, 1885. Against serial number 3, 1915. Against serial number 4, 1920. Quote. In the horizontal column, the headings are capital A, space capital B, space capital C, space capital D. Under the head, capital A, in the vertical column, against serial number A2, B2, C2, D2. Under capital B in the vertical column, against serial number A4, B4, C1 and D3. Under capital C in the vertical column, against serial number A3, B1, C3 and D1. Under capital D in the vertical column, against serial number A1, B3, C4 and D4. The correct answer is C, that is serial number capital A, serial, it is not serial number, under the head capital A, that is Indian National Congress, 2, that is 1885. Under capital B, Muslim League, 1, that is 1906. Under capital C, Hindu Mahasabha, 3, that is 1915. Under capital B, D, under capital D, Akali Dal, 4, that is 1920. Exercise 121. State in chronological order Gandhiji's numerous movements. 1. Champaran. 2. Quit India. 3. Non-cooperation. And 4. Individual Satyagraha. A. 1342. B. 1324. C. 3142. D. 1234. The correct answer is A, that is 1342. 1, that is Champaran. 3, that is non-cooperation. 4, that is individual Satyagraha. 2, that is Quit India. Exercise 122. Match list 1 with list 2 in the horizontal column against horizontal column. List 1 space list 2 under list 1 in the vertical column. Under the head list 1. Serial number A, Periyar. Serial number B, Kelappan. Serial number C, Vinoba Bhave. Serial number D, Vallabhbhai Patel. Under list 2 in the vertical column, again serial number 1, Bardoli Satyagraha. Serial number 2, Individual Satyagraha. Serial number 3, Bhaikam. Serial number 4, Guru Bhayur. Quote in the headings, in the horizontal column, headings are capital A space capital B space capital C space capital D. Under the head A, in the vertical column, again serial number A3, B3, C3 and D3. Under capital B in the vertical column, again serial number A4, B2, C4 and D2. Under capital C in the vertical column, again serial number A2, B4, C1 and D1. Under capital D in the vertical column, again serial number A1, B1, C2 and D2, D4. The correct answer is A, that is under capital A, Periyar. 3, that is Bhaikam. Capital B, Kelappan. 4, that is Guru Bhayur. C, that is Vinoba Bhave. 2, Individual Satyagraha. D, Vallabhbhai Patel. 1, that is Bardoli Satyagraha. Exercise 123. Which one of the following series of names contains the names of the Gandhians? A. Vinoba Bhave, J.P. Narayan, Jawaharlal Nehru. B. J.P. Narayan, Motilal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose. C. Vinoba Bhave, Subhash Chandra Bose, Jawaharlal Nehru. D. Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel and Subhash Chandra Bose. The correct answer is A, that is Vinoba Bhave, J.P. Narayan and Jawaharlal Nehru. Exercise 124. Which Governor General is known to the Vernacular Press Act? A. Canning, B. Curzon, C. Little and D. Dufferin. The correct answer is C. Little. Exercise 125. Which of the following viceroys welcomed the Indian National Congress at the time of its formation? A. Lord Ripon, B. Lord Dufferin and C. Lord Little and D. Lord Curzon. The correct answer is D. That is the correct answer is B. The correct answer is B. That is Lord Dufferin. Page 17.30. Exercise 7, Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India. Key terms and concepts. Wrong. Board of Control, an institution established by the Pitts Bill within bracket 1784 to control the proceedings going to and coming from the company's authorities. Charter Acts, acts passed by the British Parliament for the English East India Company, authorizing to have trade and commercial relations with the eastern countries, especially India. Communalism, a thinking and attitude in politics whereby the organizations and ideas involved around religion and directed towards the attainment of political objectives. Councils Acts, acts passed by the British Parliament authorizing the formation of the legislative councils for making laws at the centre and its provinces. Some examples of the Councils Acts are those passed in 1861, 1892 and 1909. Court of Directors, an executive and administrative body conducting the administration of the English East India Company. The directors were to be elected by the shareholders of the company, working since the inception of the company in 1600 and abolished when the British Crown took over the administration from the company in 1858. Court of Shareholders, the real owners of the English East India Company, its legislative and deliberative organ, working since 1600 and abolished in 1858. Diwani, power of the English East India Company to collect revenue from the farmers in the regions of Bengal, Bihar and Odisha in return to a fixed amount to be given to the Nawab of the regions. Diarchy, an institutional system as adopted by the Government of India Act 1919, dividing the provincial subjects into within inverted comma reserved and transferred inverted comma close, former with the English executive councillors and the latter with the Indian ministers, was objected to by the Indians and was subsequently withdrawn by the Act of 1935. Extremists, a group of Indian leaders who parted company from the moderates in the Surat session of the Indian National Congress in 1907, sought Swaraj from the Britishers and through relatively harsher measures were popular during the early years of the 20th century. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movements in India, Key Terms and Concept, page 17.31. Executive Council, an institution vested with the power of enacting laws and the running of administration, a body that assisted the Governor General and governors in operation since 1773. Governor, an executive official in charge of the provincial administration, possessed vast absolute powers. Governor General, the executive head in charge of the central administration, possessed usually absolute powers. Limited and discriminatory franchise. Ever since the beginning of the representative system in the administration system, usually period following 1892, franchise was limited with property and religious qualifications and discriminatory in so far as some people had more than one vote while the others had no franchise at all. Moderates, those congressmen who dominated the Indian National Congress during the first 20 years, that is from 1885 to 1905, regarded the British rule in India as a blessing, used to seek moderate demands, that is reforms, and with moderate and peaceful means. Montfort reforms, known as the Government of India Act 1919, Montagu was the Secretary of State and Chelmsford was the Governor General of India. Montagu's declaration. The declaration was made in August 1917. The declaration stipulated the British government policy towards India, the establishment of responsible government through successive stages. Parliamentary reforms, known as the Indian Councils Act of 1909, separate electorate system was introduced by this act. Morley was the then Secretary of State for India, and Lord Minto was the Governor General of India. Nizamat, literally it means administration. After the English East India Company obtained Diwani in 1765, it also got the power of administration in due course of time. In fact, the two functions, Diwani within inverted comma and Nizami within inverted comma go together. Chapter 17, Constitutional Development and National Movement in India, Key Terms and Concepts, page 17.32. Non-violence, Gandhiji's method of achieving the desired goals. It means, in the positive sense, love for all, and in the negative sense, inflicting no injury on anyone. Presidencies, the companies, provinces were then at that time called presidencies. In 1773, there were 3 presidencies, Calcutta, Madras and Bombay. Slowly, their number increased, and in 1935, there were 11 presidencies, provinces. Provincial autonomy. With the abolition of diarchy, the Government of India Act 1935 provided for provincial autonomy, which meant that all the departments in every province were transferred to the Indian ministers. However, it did not work well because the governors possessed unlimited powers. Satyagraha, Gandhiji's strategy of launching movements, a strategy which he experienced and mastered during his over 20 years stay in South Africa. Safeguards and reservations. In the name of safeguards and reservations, the popularly elected representative governments under the Act of 1935 were made to work in such a way that their functioning was a complete failure. Separate electorate. An electoral device where the electorates and the candidates were both reserved for a particular religious community. This system was first introduced by the Act of 1909 and kept containing in the subsequent acts passed by the British government. The communal electorate system ultimately led to the partition of the country in 1947.